Hi Stampers, it's Trisha Shalo with Just for the Love of Stamping, and I'm here today to show you this fun card using the Timeless Tropical Stamp Set by Stampin' Up. This is part of the Sunday Funday projects and tips and tricks that are being shared all day long. So let's get started in making this card. I am starting with a piece of cardstock that is 8.5 by 11 inches long. I'm taking my paper trimmer, and it also has a score blade in it, so everything that I need to get this card going is all part of this little contraption. So I'm just going to measure this to be 4¼ inches, and I'm going to cut it. So the light blade is my scoring blade, the dark one is my cutting blade, so I'm just going to cut that down. But now I want to score it. So I'm moving the cutting blade out of the way so that I can continue to use the light color to score it. And I'm going to score that at 2¾ inches, so 2¾ inches. And then I'm going to flip it and do the same to the other side, so 2¾ inches. Okay, so just like that. And then I'm going to use my bone folder just to fold in those along the score lines where we've just scored, just to make sure it's held nice and tight, and it just prevents it from kind of flopping open when I really don't want it to. We are going to put a piece on there that's going to hold it down a little bit more, so don't worry about that. We'll close that in a little bit. So now what I want to do is, there is a closure on this card, and it's a die cut. Now it's a die from a previously retired collection, and it is called the nested label dies. Sorry, the stitch nestled labels. And I'm just going to open that up, and I'm going to grab, I think this size works. This is, I think, 3rd largest, I guess, is how I would say that if you have this. And I'm going to use our mini die cut machine. Our cut and emboss machine, so super cute. I'm just going to open up those two sides, stick our little sandwich plates in here, and now I just need to grab a piece of scrap. I'm going to use the crumb cake paper, the same scrap, sticking one of the dies on there. Now if you've got some other dies, different shapes, feel free to use those. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one. Now because I have the paper underneath, it's not sticking. There is grips on the bottom of this cut machine, but they're not like, they're not sticking to that paper, so you'll see that little movement. But anyways, there you go. So there's a little stitch cutout. So this metal die just kind of cut it out and stitched around all the edges all at the same time. Super cute. Definitely a must-have for the craft room. Okay. So now that we've got our card and this piece out, I'm going to pull back my trimmer, and we're going to cut some designer series paper. I'm using the Harvest Melody. No, it's called Harvest Meadow. And it's double-sided. It's got some coral reef on one side and some fun, just little wallpaper almost pattern in crumb cake on the other side. So I'm going to trim this down to 4 inches. And then I need 2 pieces cut at, what do I want to cut them at? 2½ inches each. So 1, 2. Okay. Now my pieces are ready to go. Now the stamp set that I'm using, remember it was Timeless Tropical. Don't know if I showed it here yet, but here it is here. And keeping in kind of the timeless kind of focus area, I'm pulling out one of these old scoring tools. Now this is going to chew up the edges of my designer series paper, but you can go ahead and use your fingernail too. That'll work just the same. Or you can even grab a piece of sandpaper to kind of help along if you don't have one of these distressing tools. But all I'm doing is taking the little blade. Oh, you know what else works really well is scissors. You could just use your scissors to kind of scrape along the sides. So I just want to rough it up. I don't want it to look nice and pretty. It's just got that worn look. This is actually going to be a birthday card for my husband. I'm hoping he will like it. I do know he's not a fan of hot weather, but he does enjoy vacations. So I'm hoping this will make a lovely masculine card. Not sure if you have any birthdays or some people you just want to send a card to. Let them know that they can rest and relax, that they do deserve it. I know I've got some friends who have been working way too much lately. They could probably use this card. But anyways, aside from the sentiments that come in this stamp set, what else do you think that, you know, this stamp set could be used for? Aside from a birthday or a thank you card. Can you see yourself using those images for something else? There. So I've got all the edges done, and now I've just got all that, you know, paper that you'll just want to brush aside. Put it in the garbage. But you can also just use your fingers just to kind of curl the edges and make that worn out look. Another way to do this is you could spritz your paper and kind of crinkle it up and then let it dry. That's another way to get that worn look. But this is just a fun, simple, everyday one. It's one I used to do years and years ago, and I'm not too sure why I've stopped. I guess the trend probably just wasn't there. But anyways, I think, you know, it's just good to play with use your fingers just to play with that paper, get it rolling, or not. And that's just to kind of get those edges a little creased. Okay. I really should try making this card using some other color combo. I think that would be nice too. But this paper just screamed out at me. I'll show you here in a little bit. Or if you watch the video, actually, I showcased all the designer series paper that came in the pack. And I'll also post a copy of the sampler as well. Okay, so those are done. So you can go ahead and use your Stampin' Seal or your adhesive, whatever it is that you use, to mount that designer series paper on the card front. So I'm just going to try and center that the best I can so that the card backing mats around the edges. So I've cut the designer series paper just a little shorter than the rest of the card, just like this. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to stamp on there. And oh, I guess before I get stamping, I'll just show you. So one of the tips I shared today is keeping like a little clear cello envelope in here with all your extra pieces that coordinate with the stamp set. So the next time you go to use it, you may have some pieces already stamped, ready to use. But what I also have here are some thin pieces of paper. I just use photocopy paper and stamp the images because we're going to do some masking. So these are fabulous when you want to mask the image that you stamp. So I'll just show you what I mean by that right now. I'm just using my crumb cake stamp pad, squishing at the back, flipping over, and I'm just going to grab a block. I think this one will do, and put the palm trees on there. Now they don't all fit, but that's okay. I'm not going to have room for the whole entire thing anyways. So I'm just stamp, and then I'm just going to stamp once. And I'm going to put that image just laid over top of where I've already stamped. And that's called masking, so that I can just stamp over that again, and then it's tucked in, and so that there's not a messy look over top. So that's what masking is. I think that's super cute. So again, just keep those in your stamp pad, or in your stamp case rather, sorry. Now, what I want to do is I am going to go ahead and just put some double-sided sticky strip. This is Terran tape. And I'm going to mount that to the bottom of the image cutout here. So just the very bottom is all I need tape on. I do not want to surpass the center, and you'll see why in a second. So it's just at the bottom. I'm going to peel that off. And then you're going to go ahead and just mount that centered here. And so what's going to happen is that's going to just stick to the bottom, and now this is going to open like this. Okay, Excellent. So next is we've got some scrap paper. Actually, I've already gone ahead and punched this out. Where's my scrap paper? Here we go. So here's some more crumb cake, and this is the tailored tag punch right here. I don't know if you can see that. Super cute for many reasons. I'm just going to go ahead and punch it here. Let me show you a couple of quick tricks since I've got the tag punch out. Why not? I'm just going to cut this to about 1.5 inches. Let me show you a couple tricks. One is with my 1.5 inch piece of paper, I am just centering that directly into my punch. Pop! And look at that. I've got like a hexagon. Okay, not a very straight one, but pretty darn close. But check this out. A banner tag. That was a bonus when I cut this out. However, it's something you can make no matter what just by tucking this in the corner and using the point. And that's another way where you can get a little banner tag look without using your scissors. You know what? Sometimes scissors are really easy, but sometimes they're a pain in the butt or you don't have them around, but you've got the punch. There you go. So there's another fun little tip, little trick for you. Now we're going to use early espresso ink, and we are going to stamp the birthday greeting from this stamp set, which is super cute. It says, "May your birthday be memorable." So tap, tap, tap in my ink pad and stamp. Trying the best I can to get it centered. Not bad. I'm impressed. I am impressed. Okay. So now we've got that stamped, and I'm just going to give that a second to dry. While that's drying, actually, I'm going to use this scrap piece of crumb cake. And now I'm going to stamp a pineapple. I love this pineapple in the stamp set. It's just little, it's so cute. So I'm going to stamp just like that. Okay, but now what I want to do is I want to use one of my, what are they called? Stampin' Blends. Stampin' Blends? That doesn't seem like the right term. Just a sec. Where did it fly to? Okay, it is called a blender pen. I was close, my blender pen. So I just want to make sure that there's no ink on the lip, like on the marker, before I go and use it. And what I've done is I've already gone and put some ink just on the corners of my ink pad. I've got some Bumblebee ink and Garden Green that I've just taken my ink pad and I just went like this and tapped a little bit of ink on the block. And so what I'm doing with that right now is I'm taking a bit of the yellow, lifting it with my blender brush, and then I'm just going to blend it within the stamped image that I have here. So it's going to get yellow, but the yellow is also blending kind of that chocolate chip ink that I stamped the image with at the same time. And then to clean it, I'm just brushing it off until the color comes off. And once the color is off, I know I can switch over to the next color. And the next color is this Garden Green. So same thing, I'm just going to start to brush. I'm going to go from the bottom up and just kind of brush the little top of the pineapple just to give it a little bit of color pop for this card. And again, I'm just brushing off until there is no color. And then that's clean. I'm ready to use the next time. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a couple of seconds to dry, and while that is, I'm going to go back and take my Tailor Tag Punch, and I'm going to use my distressing tool again. Again, you can use your scissors or your nails, that works too, and just to kind of go around the edges. And this will just give it the look, the same look as the Designer Series paper that we distressed earlier. Okay, just like that. And now we want to add some dimensionals to the back. I am going to add two, one on either side. Peel that off. And then I'm going to pop that up. I'm just going to kind of center this actually, is where I would like this, centered just like that. And then I'm going to use my paper snips and I'm just going to trim out that pineapple that we've colored. It does dry really fast, so I did leave it sit just for a couple of seconds, maybe a minute, just so that it could absorb into the paper, but it is ready to go. Do be careful though, because depending on how well inked your ink pad is, will determine how much ink is sitting on that paper and how much time it needs to dry. So if yours is really super inky, yeah, just kind of be careful with that. So again, I'm just going to take a dimensional. I'm going to mount that to the bottom of my pineapple because I want that to sit kind of below this, like that. Now, I'm going to add in a different stamp set. This is a fun birthday stamp set called Happiest of Birthdays, and I just absolutely adore this saying. It says, "It's your day, enjoy it." And so I feel like that is a great stamp to stamp on the inside of the card with. Again, we are going to use crumb cake for that. Tap, tap, tap. I don't have to squish hard, just tap, 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 and I'm going to center that like so. Okay, and now I'm going to use that pineapple again. I'm just going to stamp it off a few times. I should clean it in between, but that's okay. I'm using brown on brown, so I'm just going to stamp it off. And then stamp it in the crumb cake. And I want to start in the center, so I'm going to stamp one like so, and then I'm just going to stamp the other two right beside it. And then that should be pretty much centered. Yeah, this one's a little bit off, but that's okay. I'll just hope that my husband's eyes are a little bit crooked. But anyway, so that's the inside of the card now when they open it. And now to keep it closed, because it is a little bit, you know, it's sensitive, it pops, it's hard to kind of lay flat. I thought it would be fun to use some of this baker's twine. The white pack is gone. I've already used that all up. But inside here is a crumb cake twine, which is fabulous. So let's use a little bit of that. We just need to find the piece, and it is tucked in, but it's very much in sight. So that's good. And then you're just going to wrap it around 2 or 3 times and then tie a knot. And I think that this will finish it off very nice. And uh-oh, it cut 2 pieces. Oh no. Okay, just wait. I just got to redo this. Rejig it so that it's on the top here. Okay. So I'm just going to tie a knot. There. And now it stayed closed. And so when someone opens it, they're going to be like, oh, how do I open it? Hopefully they can see just to kind of lift it up a little bit. And then that way you've still got that kind of worn look of the card. And then this would have to come off altogether to kind of keep it working. But at least that'll hold it closed for the time being. And especially so, like if you end up putting a gift card, like I feel like you can put a little gift card holder right here. Just put another piece of designer series paper. Just don't seal it here, and that would make a nice pocket to add a gift card for dinner, or maybe a little love note or extra birthday wish. You could put anything in there. Anyways, that's the final card. I hope you enjoyed it. When you get your card made, be sure to post them in the comments below. We'd love to see your creation. Happy stamping!